evening and welcome along to the Premier League review show for the matches which took place over the New Year period. Saturday the 30th, Sunday the 31st, Monday the 1st and Tuesday the 2nd of January as well, 31st and 30th of December, 1st and 2nd of January. There's been a lot of goals in those matches and a lot of talking points as well in certain matches as well, which I'm sure we'll touch upon during this next hour or so here for the Premier League review show. We're live on the commentary of JB Sports, commentary of 2 and Focus on Football. You can get your comments in the chat down below and we'll read some and we'll reply to some of those if we can and when we can as well. Today I've got a special co-host with me today. It's not my usual co-host. He's on a annual leave from the T-Sub at this moment in time. So stepping into the breach to replace my good friend and co-host Paul James. He's none other than Nottingham Forest fan. And another friend of mine, Luke Turton's with us as the special co-host today. Luke, how are you doing today, mate? Are you okay?
Yeah, good evening, Russ. I'm good, thank you. You?
Yes, good, thank you, Luke. Good to be on. Thank you for stepping in for Paul this evening while he's on annual leave to review the Premier League matches from the weekend. Otherwise, I'd have been here talking about the matches all by myself and it would have been a quick show.
No worries. You had to have somebody to talk with, don't you, Russ?
We do, Luke. I don't want people to think I just talk to myself all the time. Anyway, before we go on to those matches, let's just tell people what the scores were, and we'll get into those matches as well. The scores are now up on the screen. It was Luton Town 2, Chelsea 3, Aston Villa 3, Burnley 2, Crystal Palace 3, Brentford 1, Man City 2, Sheffield United 0, Wolverhampton Wanderers 3, Everton 0, Nottingham Forest 2, Manchester United 1. And I know one person on this with me right now, Luke, we're very happy about that result. As I mentioned at the start, he's a Nottingham Forest fan, so I'll be happy about it. I'll be happy to talk about that probably for about 20 minutes or so if we let him, but time will be restricted on that. Luke, you won't be able to talk that long on that result tonight, I'm afraid. Fulham 2, Arsenal 1, Tottenham 3, Bournemouth 1, Liverpool 4, Newcastle 2, West Ham 0, Brighton 0 as well. And we will also tell you what games we've got coming up in the FA Cup as the third round action begins tomorrow night, and we'll tell you all the matches that we've got covered right here on the commentary of JB Sports, commentary of 2 and Focus on Football. Technical issues mean we can't be broadcasted on Storm FM, and the review show will not be broadcasted here on Storm FM as well. So, without further ado, let's get on with the first game of the weekend, and it came at Kenilworth Road where Luton Town took on Chelsea. It was a very unlucky display from Luton. Good performance from them, losing 3-2 in the end to Chelsea. Before I give my thoughts on the game, Luke, what did you make to that game, and what did you think to the performance from Luton as well? Because I thought from the highlights I've seen, I thought Luton put up a very good display. They were very unlucky not to come away with something from that game. What about you, Luke?
Yeah, I think Luton put up a good fight as they've done all season. I think the problem is with a team like Luton, they probably don't have the Premier League experience there to see out games for the point. They made a couple of errors leading to a couple of the Chelsea goals. But yeah, apart from that, I'd say they're giving each game a good fight, and they're not going to be down and out like a few people thought at the start of the season.
Absolutely. No, they had a goal disallowed in that game as well, Luke, which was through VAR, disallowed for offside against Elijah Adebayo, but he did go on the score sheet later on to make it 3-2 in the 87th minute. Chelsea were 3-1 up at that point. Palmer with a brace, and then Barkley, former Chelsea player, on the score sheet. If I were to ask you, Luke, just on this one quickly before we move on, if you were Bob Jones, the Luton Town manager, how do you think he'd be feeling after that game against Chelsea, knowing is a defeat, but a performance they can be proud of as well, you would have to say?
I think if they'd come out of the game 3-0 as a 3-0 defeat, probably a bit more disappointing than he is now. I'd say that now we can look at it and tweak a few things that'd say, well, if you did this, we'd get a point. Specifically, the Issa Kabore ball out for Palmer's first goal. That really should be a boot up field. That shouldn't be a ball played out. So maybe that's where his defenders have to have a bit more savviness to go, okay, I'm in my own box. If I play this out and get it wrong, it's going to be a goal. So either I pass it sideways or I kick it forward long and get it away from the box. Doing what he did just leaves yourselves open to conceding goals.
Yes, absolutely, Luke. And it'd be interesting to see how Mauricio Pochettino felt after that. Because Luton, like where we've said in matches that they've done this season, really give Chelsea a test and becoming away with that one. Probably scratching their thinking, well, we got lucky with that one. That'll disallow go for offside if it wasn't if it wasn't offside, and then that ball could go again a second. We would have been talking about a Luton point against Chelsea. And Pochettino probably looking at that, thinking we need to do better here to see our games more, especially after going 3-0 up.
Yeah, I think with Pochettino, he's probably thinking, we're getting there. The players are starting to learn what I'm actually wanting them to do. That they've got some great talented players in there. Enzo Fernandez, Cole Palmer, Madueke, Mudryk, Nicholas Jackson, just to name a few. But the the problem they have is at the back. They've not really got an assured back line at the moment, and I think that's showing with the the goals that they conceded against Luton. Also, the keepers are a bit dubious because though the second goal to Adebayo, the palm out was straight into the 6-yard box. It wasn't wider away from the goal. It was straight into the 6-yard box, and that's what Adebayo does best. He's in that position to score goals and to tap goals in from close range, set alongside other things. So for me, it just amplifies that their backline and keeper are very shaky, but going forward, they do have the talent to score goals.
Yes, they do, Luke. They do indeed. Thank you for your input on that game. We're going to move on to another game now, which you're also going to give your input. And I thought this was a very good game. And I think one person in this game really cost one of the teams all 3 points in this one. It's Aston Villa 3, Burnley 2. Aston Villa when 1-0 up through Leon Bailey. Then Zeki and Duna equalised just a couple of minutes later to put Burnley back into it. Moussa Diaby made it 2-1 to Aston Villa just before half time. Ollie Watkins with 2 assists, by the way. Fantastic performance from Watkins. I just want to point out there as well. This is a player I'm going to mention now. Sanderberg, to be yellow card for nudging the back as Diaby was going through to score that second Aston Villa goal, which was his first yellow card. And then with his second yellow card, holding on to Douglas Luiz, needless to do so, already on the yellow card. I think he was the one who cost them the game. Now Foster then got the 10 minute of Burnley back into it on 71 minutes. And then John Duran goes down, and I'm going to use the term very easily, and wins Aston Villa a penalty which Douglas Luiz slotted away. First of all, Luke, I just want to get your opinion on the Sanderberg 2 yellow cards and whether you think his red card cost Burnley to gain something out of this game.
Yeah, I find it very naive for Sander Berge to think when he's on a booking already to pull a shirt of an opponent and expect to get away with it. You can't drag somebody back like he did and expect to get away with it. Yeah, it's a second yellow card. It's a yellow card tackle, right? It's a yellow card incident. If you've on a yellow card already, your second yellow card means you're sent off. You know you're on a yellow card. Be wiser in your decision making. And I think once you go down to 10 men, especially with the struggles that Burnley have been having this season already with 11 on the field, it's definitely going to show when you go down to 10, especially when you're playing Ollie Watkins, Moussa Diaby, and Leon Bailey, who are in red hot form around the opposition box.
Yes, absolutely, Luke. And just touching on the goals as well, and good play from Watkins, set up both Bailey and Diaby for the two Aston Villa goals. But good play as well from O'Shea, set up Amdouni, who put Burnley back on level terms, and that was a fantastic finish from Amdouni, one which he could be really proud of.
Yeah, if I just speak about Watkins first, I'm very impressed with how he's adapted this season. He's been in insane form. He's probably looked at his performance in the past couple of seasons and thought, maybe if I do a little bit better off the ball and getting into these positions, then even Gareth Southgate could not pick me at this point. Like, he's creating goals from wide. He's rediscovered that kind of wide Exeter play that he had before he went to Brentford. And then now he's down the middle. He can drift one side, drift the other side. He's got that interchangeable ability with Moussa Diaby, Leon Bailey, Zaniolo when he plays too. And it just shows the versatility of a player like Ollie Watkins. But then also, Amdouni is a very talented player. I think he's probably been thwarted a little bit with the set of players he's playing with. I think in a better side with a better selection of players, he'll score a lot more goals. That's nothing against Burnley. I just think they've assembled a squad of very, very young players. And for this division, it probably doesn't have enough Premier League experience in it to bring out the best in these younger players that have been invested in.
Yeah, and I agree with you there as well. And I did say when I was just going through all the goals as well, the penalty for Aston Villa was very, very soft, and John Duran went down far too easily. What did you make of that incident?
I'm not sure whether too soft is quite strong enough for what I think. I think he dived. I think he knew that they were at 2-2. And he's like, I'm going to see if I can buy penalty here. And I mean, it's Stuart Atwell. Of course he's going to give it. So, I mean, I don't think you can go down like he did with the amount of contact, with inverted commas, that was actually there.
Yeah, and for me as well, look, he was already going down before the player had even come to him.
Exactly. It was glaringly obvious that he knew they were at 2-2, knew that they probably needed to get a win for to keep track with Liverpool. So I'm going to throw myself to the floor and hope that there's contact on the way down to see if he gives a penalty, and the referee fell for it.
Yeah, he did, Luke. He fell for it, and that's what cost Burnley the game, as well as the red card from Sanderberg as well. Duran going down 4-2 easily and cheaply to gain a penalty there. Moving on to our next game now, Luke, which came at Selhurst Park, which before this game there were talks of that if Crystal Palace had lost, Roy Hodgson would have been potentially looking at the sack or potentially adding in his resignation. But Crystal Palace beat Brentford by 3-1, coming back from a goal behind. Lewis Potter with a fantastic goal inside just 2 minutes to put the Bees in the lead. Michael Olise equalised after a fantastic ball from Jordan Ayew, set him up. Mitchell then played a fantastic ball into Eze to make it 2-1. Morgay set up Olise to grab his brace and make it 3-1. The scoring ended after 58 minutes, but Palace, with that dominant, they could have had more.
They really could have had more, and I think it's worth giving credit for Matthias Jensen's flick for the first Brentford goal. That was absolutely superb. The the finish from Olise for his first goal was absolutely sublime. The link-up play between Mitchell, Mateta, and Eze for his goal again. Nice, neat link-up play, but the Brentford defending left a lot to be desired. And if I think by the third goal, Brentford's legs had just gone. Elise had a lot more energy. Elise and Eze just ran them ragged throughout the whole half, both halves, to be honest. And the finish again was absolutely brilliant. they've got some talented players that get there at Palace as well. To be honest, Elise, Eze, and that Rand Sakyaki or whatever his name is.
Yeah, I know you're on about Ransaki. Ransaki. He's currently out injured with a thigh injury at the moment, but he's a good player for when he comes back from his injury. One player I think played well though as well for Palace at the weekend, who we've not really touched upon here, Luke, was Jean-Philippe Mateta. I think he led the line well and caused Brentford a number of problems, which allowed Elise and Eze to get the goals and get the spaces for the goals. He was the one creating the spaces for Elise and Eze to get into to score those goals.
Oh, absolutely. Having a big target man up front that can win the ball, hold players off, bring the other players into play around you is crucial for teams that aren't expecting to see a lot of the ball. If you're then getting the ball forwards, you need to be able to hold it well and bring in your flair players, if you will, into play. And I think that Mateta, and with the way that he gets goals, but he also brings in the rest of the side. And that's very crucial for a team like Palace.
Yes, absolutely. Just touching on Brentford a moment as well. There's been a lot of talks over the past couple of days or so that Thomas Frank is under pressure if Brentford lose the next couple of matches in the league. This is not. I'm not talking FA Cup. They just win on the league, from what I've been told as well. Thomas Frank could end up being sacked. And if I just quickly load up the table, which we'll come to at the end as well, but this is just a table at this moment in time. I'll just let you know where they are here. Brentford is 16th. They're just 3 points above Everton and 4 points above Luton, who are in the final playoff, in final relegation spot, should I say. If it wasn't for Everton, with that 10-point deduction, there'd be 4 points above the relegation zone in 16th. Just like Everton got that 10-point deduction, they are 16th, otherwise they'd be just above the relegation zone in 17th. And looking at that, on that, are you surprised that Frank is being under pressure from some of the supporters of Brentford and some of the other media outlets out there?
Well, with any team that has a slump, the media starts jumping on the manager. Some of the fans think that they should have a divine right to be higher in the table than they actually are. I think a team like Brentford are in the Premier League on merit, but by the same token, they probably have been overachieving in the past couple of seasons to where they actually should be. And I think when you look at the loss of Ivan Toney, that's probably played a big part in it. The loss of Mbuemo is probably also not helping currently because there's no outlet for Johan Vissa to play alongside. He's kind of having to make do with balls floating here, there, and everywhere. I don't think Lewis Potter is at the same level as a Brian Mbuemo is. So I think when you've lost two of your key players at the top of the pitch, there's going to be vulnerabilities everywhere else because you're having to adapt your game to who you're playing against and playing with. Sorry, and I think that the trouble is I don't see enough in that squad without Mbuemo or Tony coming back to say, okay, you're going to be able to do anything different to what they're already doing. They need to either add in January or hopefully get Mbuemo back at least to give you that extra outlet.
Yeah, which I think that's what they're missing as well, Brentford. That extra outlet, they need Tony back quickly, or need to add an extra player in either for the number 10 or this is now strike. I think that's where Brentford need to strengthen this window. Whether they will do or not is another matter. And when I say this window, I'm about January transfer window, in case any other people listen back to this later on in the season. We'll move on now to the next game, which is Manchester City 2, Sheffield United 0. And Manchester City had to work hard for this one. I saw this one when it was on Saturday afternoon. And Rodri and Phil Foden, I'll just touch on first before I mention about Rodri. Foden had a fantastic game, was my player of the match. There could have been a number of players for player of the match. Jack Grealish had a good game as well. But for me, I think Foden just edged the man of the match, winning 2 assists for Phil Foden, could have had a goal as well, but City had to work hard to get this victory. Scored after 40 minutes, had to wait, be patient for the opening goal as well. I thought Sheffield United played well for that first opening 13, 14 minutes, and I thought they dug in well after that to ensure that they went in the goal behind at the break. Second half as well, they did well up to out to just about on the hour more before City doubled their lead through Julian Alvarez, who was a in-form striker at the moment, scored in the Club World Cup final also, and then scored in the first game back in one of the couple of first games back for Manchester City as well. I think if we continue playing like he is doing, Alvarez, he's going to be up there for player of the season from in Manchester City's. Well, maybe not in the Premier League, since other players forming week in, week out to the top of the game in the Premier League. But just touching on Phil Foden and Alvarez, just touching on Phil Foden first of all, and this Man City team overall, without Erling Haaland at this moment, you can see they've got the strength in depth to not worry about not needing Erling Haaland every single game, haven't they, Luke?
Yeah, I think Phil Foden is crucial to the way that City play because he's got the energy, he can buzz around, he brings in Bernardo Silva, he brings in Alvarez, Grealish on the other side. He can float around. He's not fixed to one set position this season, and that gives a lot of energy, a lot of kind of strength to the side. And nobody knows where he's going to be, so it's really hard to defend against. But with a question about Haaland, I don't think Haaland is the bigger miss. I think Rodri. When Rodri doesn't play, Man City don't do as well. So if you can sit on Rodri and nullify Rodri out of the game, usually Man City struggle to really have that much of an impact because he wins the ball from the back and brings in these players like Foden, Bernardo Silva, Jack Grealish, Julian Alvarez, Haaland when he plays. There's Doku, another one's Jeremy Doku when he plays. The thing is, if you take out Rodri, that's the engine of the team gone. I think Haaland hasn't really had as bigger impact this season as he did the previous season, but I think he's a phenomenal striker. I just think maybe this season teams have worked out if you get a bit closer to him, then he's not going to score.
Yes, and one player that they have missed who's on the way back is Kevin De Bruyne, who was on the bench and play of the weekend. And could be in line to play in the FA Cup for Man City against Huddersfield Town on Sunday. What we're going to now is just talk about Sheffield United here, Lou. They've been down near the bottom. A lot of people were writing them off, thinking they're going to end up getting beat here quite comfortably. 4-5-0 City, some people were predicting. But Sheffield United did very, very well. Did very well defensively as well to keep out Man City for as long as they did, and then also to only lose by 2-0 as well. City had a number of chances in that game. Just to fetch up the stats here, just to be people in the picture. 18 attempts to go for Manchester City, 4 for Sheffield United, 4 on target for Manchester City, 2 on target for Sheffield United. So you can see the golfing class there, but to keep City down to just 2-0 and only have 4 shots on target is some going for Sheffield United, and they did very, very well in doing that to the weekend.
Yeah, Sheffield United, especially now under Chris Wilder, are going to make it difficult. They're going to sit in, they're going to battle, they're going to make it a little bit nasty. They're going to put up a decent fight, and they will not go down with a whimper. They will have that desired performance every game. I just look at the squad and I just think they need to make sure that they get a little bit of Premier League experience into that squad and a bit of know-how to get them out of these positions, because at the minute, especially with Jack Robinson at the back, he's slow, he makes fouls, he's a bit of a liability. I think they need to replace a few of the players that are not doing it and bring in players that are going to be better. I mean, credit to Arma Hodzic, by the way. he's been doing brilliant this season in a team that's conceding a load of goals. He looks like a shining light, to be quite honest, in their season. But they can take credit from a 2-0 away at Man City. I mean, I think we got a 2-0 when we went there, so it's not anything to be sniffed at, to be fair.
Yeah, and when Luke refers to we, he's referring to Nottingham Forest, for those who are wondering.
Yeah,
Who
apologies.
he was referring to there. No, it's Luke. I just thought I'd just let people know who you was referring to there, mate. Right, moving on to our next next offering of reviewing was Wolverhampton Wanderers 3, Everton 11. Going into this on the back of an impressive run, unbeaten in the last 5 going into this game. The playing very well. Everton in the last few matches in the league, they just lost 3 in the trouble before the defeats to Spurs and to City. They did very well in the previous games. Beat Burnley, beat Chelsea, beat Newcastle. So look, they beat Forest as well. Look, in that run there, 1-4 on the spin, and then lost to Spurs, City, then Wolves. So, in this game against Wolves, it could have been a lot more than the 3-0. Wolves had plenty of chances. Kilman made it 1 along 25 minutes. Fantastic goal from him there. Mateus Cunha made it 2-0 on 53 minutes. Fantastic goal from him, set up brilliantly by Wangi, and then Cunha with an assist for Craig Dawson to make it 3-0. Could have been more had there not been a goal disallowed late on for Wolves as well. What did you make of this game, Luke? And Everton, they need to rediscover that form that they were going under if they ought to get back up the table, because 3 straight defeats is not looking very good for the Toffees again now.
I think the game as a whole probably showed the quality that Wolves have and the remarkable job that Gary O'Neill has done there. I mean, Hwang is a talent in himself, but I would say that he'll probably be a bit disappointed that he didn't hit the target when he got through on a counter attack early in the game. Definitely like a dangerous front line with Sarabia, Cunha, Hwang, Bellegarde. The play up there is insanely quick. As for Everton, I think they go in fits and spurts, don't they? They look like they're going to be able to stay safe for a few games. Then they falter a little bit. I think the trouble is they don't have enough of an outlet in crucial positions. They're using Beto and Calvert-Lewin. I don't think any of them are going to score a huge amount of goals in a season. Your wide players, again, Harrison, McNeil. I mean, I can't understand why they got rid of Damari Gray, to be honest. He was way better than both of those two. Midfielders, they're physical, but there ain't much more to it. The only difference is James Garner. I think they lack a bit. They clearly look like a team that's been thrown together, not really moulded, but they battle and they get wins and they don't give up. But in this case, they just didn't have the quality. They were all over the place at the back. There doesn't seem to be a designated leader in the side. And it wasn't very Sean Dyche. But again, Pickford, he's making errors again.
Yeah, I think what probably also didn't help as well, look, for Everton in this game, early on in the match, 23 minutes in, just before the first Wolves goal, Nathan Patterson got booked. And we all know what Patterson likes to do. He likes to go in for a good challenge, a nice meaty challenge against the wingers, whoever he's up against. And once that yellow card came, he had to sort of back off and weren't able to play his normal game. And I'm wondering whether that contributed to the factor. I was listening to an Everton podcast earlier on in the week. I think it was yesterday. I think it was Tuesday. And they were saying that Coleman should have come on as soon as he half time or as soon as he got that yellow card, because down the Wolves' left hand side, which was Noure and Sarabia, they were just running at Patterson all game, looking to try and get him a second yellow, try and get him sent off in the game, and that's why Dyche ended up taking him off. But they said they took him off far too late to take him off in the end for that. So for me, I think some of the substitutions that Dyche is doing, they're leaving too late. When he pitched Gomez on as well, he pitched Coleman on then. Coleman should have come on a lot earlier. And better for Cavalier, that's a straight swap. If he wants to do a straight swap, if he wants to put Beto on, he could have kept Cavalier on next. Cavalier's older play would have been good for Beto to get in behind, or Beto's older play would have been good for Cavalier to get in behind. So you need to keep both on for me. I don't think either of them can play as a lone striker. You need to play alongside another striker, Beto and Cavalier, in my opinion. Look, I don't know what you think about that.
You're going back to the Nathan Patterson thing first. Why are we suddenly of the opinion that there seems to be this thing of, oh, you're on a yellow card, so that one player is the only player that's allowed to follow the wide players back. Drag a midfielder over there. Bring your winger back. Make it difficult. Close it down. Force them to go down the other side. Use your brains a little bit. The thing is, it's easy to go, oh, well, Dyche can take him off. Yeah, but Dyche might not see that Coleman might have enough fitness yet to play the duration of time that the Everton fans were demanding that he came on to play. And the thing is, well, you can make tackles without getting yellow cards. It just seems to me that Everton look for excuses where there isn't any. And they should just do better. Going to the Calvert-Lewin Beto point, though, yeah, I can see that. Again, it all comes down to the fitness levels of Calvert-Lewin. But again, get closer to the striker when they've got the ball. Make it difficult. Be physical. Try and get corners to get people like Anana and Decore further forward. It just seems that they've totally lost their game plan in this game.
There have been last few matches, even though they lost the last couple of matches before this Wolves game, Everton was still sticking to the game plan that Dyche was setting up for. They stuck to the game plan when they lost against Fulham in the Cup, stuck to the game plan when they lost to Spurs, stuck to the game plan when they lost to Man City, who against Wolves, it's just like they thought, we're not going to stick with the game plan, we're going to just play how we want to play, and that's what probably cost them in the end, Luke, in my personal opinion. What do you reckon?
More than likely, Russ. More than likely on that.
Yes, now we're just going to take a quick break from what we've got in the review show to tell you about what's coming up here on the TC Hub in the upcoming days. And I mentioned doing some FA Cup action. So let me just tell you what we've got coming up on the TC Hub for the FA Cup. On Thursday, join myself alongside Bruno Winter as we bring you Crystal Palace against Everton. Luke Turton reviewing today will be the man behind the scenes, pushing all those buttons I see with the goal coming up on the screen, changing the score, putting in the player of the match. On the screen, he'll be the man behind the scenes, producing the coverage for us as well. So looking forward to having Luke on the team. Then join Nicholas alongside Luke as your commentary team for Tottenham Hotspur against Burnley on Friday. Both of those games kick off at 8 o'clock in the UK. Then join myself, Russ, Vernon, alongside Luke Turton as we bring you Sunderland against Newcastle. Don't forget you can join Nicholas Jones as well on that one as he presents the coverage as we bring you the derby between Sunderland and Newcastle. 12:45 is the kickoff time for that one. Don't forget as well, Paul James will be pushing all those buttons behind the scenes as well for us. Then on Sunday, we've got live FA Cup action. Arsenal against Liverpool with Nicholas Jones, JB, John Stoddard in the commentary seat. He's back for FA Cup coverage this season, alongside Paul James in the commentator's chair with Nicholas also pressing those buttons as well. And hopefully we'll have one on Monday, which will be with Mike and Luke, hopefully, as they bring you Wigan against Manchester United. And I'll be the one pressing all those buttons behind the scenes to let people know what the latest score is. And we'll also bring you the FA Cup draw as well, when that is being played as well. We'll keep you up to date with that one. So back to the action then from the Premier League. And we're going to finish off with the Saturday matches. And this one is where Luke will be all giddy and happy about. And Luke, remember, do not say we when I come to you to discuss this one. This is Nottingham Forest 2, Manchester United 1. That's right, guys. Nottingham Forest 2, Manchester United 1. I know Luke would have wanted me to repeat it. That's why I repeated it for him, because it normally says to me, can you repeat that score for me, please? This is only when Nottingham Forest win. He asked me to repeat those scores. First off was a 0-0 draw at half time, and both teams had really good chances in that one. Forest probably just edged the first half for me. Man United were very, very poor all game. Forest totally dominant, took a deserved lead through Dominguez after Montiel's ball back in. Fantastic bit of play there. Marcus Rashford then equalised after Matt Turner just gave the ball away. I can see Luke shaking his head here as well. And Garnacho lashed onto it. Tito Rashford, who made it 1-1, no mistake. Well, then, coming back to haunt his former club, Anthony Elanga sets up Morgan Gibbs-White. It was another cutback finish. Cut back to the edge of the box this time. And Morgan Gibbs-White, first time finish, past Andre Onana into the back of the net. Forest could have had more than just the 2 goals. They were totally deserved of the win in the end. And Luke was at that game. He's a season ticket holder for Nottingham Forest. Luke, first of all, before we actually talk on the actual match itself, just tell us what the atmosphere was like at the City Ground against Manchester United.
Oh, insane. I mean, the atmosphere for the past couple of home games has been raised a lot. I think the win at Newcastle definitely helped. And, you know, Man United come to Forest, and you have to raise the game, because otherwise, if you go quiet and allow your away side to get a bit of a foothold in the game, you're at a loss before you've even started.
Yes, so now, talk to us about the game, first of all. Talk about the goal from Dominguez, first of all. That was a fantastic goal. Then, if you want to take us through the Manchester United equaliser and your thoughts on Matt Turner after that, and then talk through the winning goal from your perspective, Luke, being of the game.
Yeah, so the first one is worth noting that Ryan Yates intercepts the ball, gives it to Elanga, who then plays it back to Montiel on the inside, who then pings the ball across to Dominguez. Beautifully striked goal from Dominguez. I mean, the last goal he scored, Dominguez, was a header, so you're never really sure whether he got the attributes to score from the edge of the box like he did. But again, well deserved, and probably was a bit later than we were expecting. But when it comes to the Manchester United goal, how many goals is Matt Turner going to give away before the penny drops that he's just not a good goalkeeper? Constantly kicking the
all
ball
of them
out.
away. I think he's going to give you. I think you're going to concede quite a few with Turner in goal, Luke.
Yeah, the trouble is, you're playing the ball out, and on the highlights before this show, I tried to analyze this a little bit, and it looks like Niakate goes back to Turner. Then Turner tries to play out Danilo. And Garnacho gets there in front of Danilo. But one, why are we passing it back to Matt Turner when we know that it's going to go directly south? Great cross back from Garnacho to Rashford in a superb finish. I question Nico Williams' position when the ball comes across from Garnacho. Maybe should be tighter, and then Rashford doesn't score. But Matt Turner's error is just atrocious. But then moving on to the Gibbs White goal, again, Ericsson has a shot which is saved by Matt Turner. Then Diallo tries to cross it back in, and again, Ryan Yates intercepts the ball and then runs from the box, our own box, through and over the halfway line, and then plays it wide to Elanga. Then all Elanga's got to do is beat a couple of players, pull it back to Gibbs White, then Gibbs White smashes it past Onana in a classic Gibbs White style. And again, we're thinking at this point, just do not give another goal away.
Yes, and I bet you thought every time the ball went back to Matt Turner after that, he's going to give the ball away and you're going to unfortunately going to concede again, weren't you, Luke?
Yeah, my thoughts were, oh no, not again. Please don't give it to him.
But after that, though, when he did make a really good save after that second goal when Ericsson had that strike from the edge of the box. That was a fantastic save from Matt Turner. He proved that he can actually make saves, but make sure you don't pass it back to him, because that's the one where he can't do anything about it.
Yeah, he had some crucial saves, kept Forest in the game, but the trouble is he's a good shot stopper. He just can't kick it. He's a footballer that can't use his feet. It's strange.
Yeah, he's supposed to be a goalkeeper, and you can't use your feet. He can. Only time he can really use his feet well enough is when he goes long downfield, Luke. That's from goal kicks. That's the only time he can use his feet well enough. It's just when you pass it back to him, or if he's taking free kicks, that's when he can't use his feet properly.
When you're dead centre and he's hitting it dead centre, then yeah, he can take goal kicks. If you're kicking it wide at any point, then yeah, Matt Turner's not your guy, because you'll just find somebody either in the Peter Taylor stand or the Brighton Clough stand, and it's like, duck, the ball's coming to you.
Yeah, I didn't realize you were playing a game that we used to play when we were kids, Luke, called Dug Dug Goose, when Matt Turner's kicking the ball out.
Yeah.
That's what
Well,
it seems like.
we need a new goalkeeper. It's evident.
What about Vlamidos, who's on the bench? Why is he not getting a look in?
Vlachodimos, he seems to have been dumped out after the 5-0 defeat to Fulham, of which none of the goals were his fault, but we'd rather revert back to the goalkeeper that can't take anything and can't take goal kicks, can't play out, and concede as nearly as many goals as Vlachodimos did in one game. But it's totally fine. We'll struggle on until January, and then we'll find that brilliant goalkeeper. Oh wait, yeah, the only one we've been linked with is Keylor Navas.
Yes, we'll move on then, Luke, now from the Nottingham Forest game. For as we bring you the next game to discuss, which was Fulham 2, Arsenal 1 from Sunday afternoon. 2:00 kickoff was live on the TC Hub. Brilliant coverage in that one from the team, myself and Paul, with you producing, Luke, but myself and Paul did a great job in that game, even if I do say so myself. What did you make to the game, Luke, between Fulham and Arsenal? Because for me, Fulham deserve the win in Arsenal under par for the past couple of performances, especially against West Ham in the previous Thursday.
Fulham seem to have hit form. They seem to have found the combination that works for them. Jimenez has grew into this top class striker again that he was like at Wolves, with Willian one side, Iwobi the other side, David Reed coming into play as well. I think I I was very happy with the two goals that Fulham scored. I question a lot of Arsenal's defending. Arsenal's defence, for big guys, they don't half get bullied around. And I'm not quite sure why they've struggled to identify a decent left back, Arsenal. But Zinchenko, Kiwior, or Tomiyasu are not the answer. They really are not the answer. Now, I don't claim to have watched a lot of Arsenal this season, but even I can see that if you're trying to play Jakub Kiwior, who I believe is a centre back, at left back, you're going to have problems. Your midfield is struggling to work. I mean, you've got Odegaard and Rice running around like headless chickens, trying to link up and play things through to players in the middle that can't finish. And Nketiah and Jesus, I mean, I expect better. Saka and Martinelli basically carry the wide positions. I mean, brilliant run from Martinelli for the goal. Leno can be criticised for his palming out straight to Saka. But I just find there's so much of Arsenal's team that doesn't quite fit. I mean, you've got Kai Havertz. He's scoring goals, but what else does he do? Leandro Trossard, you shoved him into the middle for the game against West Ham when he's a wider player. Mikel Arteta, please start making sense.
Yes. Just touching on this game as well. Saka openly scoring for Arsenal. Fantastic goal from Bukayo Saka. Jimenez made it 1-1 on 29 minutes. Bobby D. Cordova-Reid was the match winner on 59 minutes. All three of the goals, Luke, were fantastic, especially the two from Fulham.
Yeah, the two from Fulham were fantastic. I think the run from Martinelli for the Arsenal goal was fantastic. The finish was just routine from Bukayo Saka. My trouble with the winning goal is Declan Rice fails to deal with the corner. White and Tomiyasu fail to clear from 6 yards out. You just need to someone needs to take responsibility to boot this over out for a corner, out for a throw in, or upfield, which just allows Cordova-Reid to get in who fires home. Like, this is the basics of football that Arsenal are now starting to get things wrong. And if they don't nip it in the bud soon, not only are they not going to be in the title race, they're not even going to be in the top four race.
Yes, and Arsenal are slipping down. They always seem to do this, Arsenal, though, which have done for the past couple of seasons, even last season when they were in that title race for quite a while. They always seem to start well. Then it gets to the Christmas New Year period, and that's when Arsenal start to have their slump and start going down the field, start going down the table again, and have their mid-season wobble like they normally do. And it always seems to happen around Christmas and New Year for whatever reason. And I'm not sure why that is, and I'm not even sure if I can work out why that is.
Well, I'll tell you why. Because they don't resource themselves very well. They're doing makeshift left backs. They've got a makeshift midfield because you've got Odegaard and Rice, which are your two mainstays, and then you're pushing in players that have played wider into midfield and hoping it's working. Trossard, Havertz, and you've not got quality up front. You've got Jesus and Nketiah. They're not good enough for a team at the top of the league. They're really not. And also, another question or point I didn't raise in my earlier ramblings about Arsenal You had a goalkeeper in Aaron Ramsdale that did absolutely nothing wrong. He plays the game against Scotland for England, comes back and you start David Raya. Like, come on, Mikel Arteta. Like, Aaron Ramsdale was doing absolutely brilliant. And then you take him out, put Raya in, and you conceded more goals with David Raya than you did with Aaron Ramsdale.
And that's what surprised me as well. That Ray's coming from Brentford on loan, due to be made permanent. I think I'm not sure if it's this down transfer window at the end of the season, and he's being played with Ramsdale, who's a more competent goalkeeper than what he is.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. I totally agree, Russ. Aaron Ramsdale should be your number one goalkeeper, and David Raya is a competent number two, but it should not be the other way round. It really should not be the other way round.
And I agree with that, what you just said there as well. So moving on to the next game here now, and Tottenham 3, Brentford. Tottenham 3, Bournemouth 1, should I say, not Brentford. We already touched Brentford. There's too many B's in this today. Tottenham 3, Bournemouth 1. There we go. Papamate Sarr put Spurs in the lead on 9 minutes. Son made it 2-0 on 71 minutes. Richarlison made it 3-0 on 80 minutes. Alex Scott put one back in the 84th minute, and a goal disallowed for offside in the 90 plus 11th minute. That was a fantastic game to watch the highlights of, and it was fantastic play from Spurs. Deserved the 3-0 lead. Good assist from Brennan Johnson for the third goal. Giovanni Lo Celso 2 assists as well. Probably my player of the match in that game. And Alex Scott, fantastic goal from him. He was unlucky to see his other goal get disallowed for offside. I thought it was onside, but it was disallowed in the end. Luke, what did you think to the game, and what did you think to the goals as well? And Lo Celso, 2 good assists from him as well.
The game was brilliant. I mean, I gave updates via the private chat on this game, and I mean, the private chat did not give the game justice. I mean, some of those chances were absolutely brilliant. Son had a couple of chances in either half, which I think he probably was disappointed in not scoring. The first goal, Neto's kick that was intercepted by Bentancur, just shows naivety from goalkeepers yet again. Lo Celso was alive to make the tackle and slide the ball to Sarr, and then he ran across the outside of the box and hit it into the corner he just ran from. I think Pape Sarr is going to be a mainstay in the Spurs side alongside whoever he's playing alongside, whether it's Bentancur, Basuma, Oliver Skip, if he actually gets in. I think Pape Sarr is going to be the main player in that midfield. The second goal, again, brilliant from Lo Celso to find Son, and Son just runs in and fires past Neto. Son exuberating his class yet again. The third goal, Brennan Johnson doing Brennan Johnson things. Maybe Spurs fans can get off his back now. He's actually doing what he was signed for, running through and putting decent balls into the box for Richarlison, who made the run off the Bournemouth defence. You've got me nearly doing it then.
Sorry.
The Bournemouth defence and slotting in. I think just on the Spurs thing, I think they need to realise that they have signed players to play a certain way that Ange Postecoglou wants to play. And some games, players are going to have games where they wobble. And I'm referring to the Brighton game, where every time Brennan Johnson touched the ball, after he made a couple of mistakes, they were just on his back like you've never seen. And give the lad a break. It's his second season in the Premier League. first season playing with more talented players, and he's also been injured for a part of the season too, and he's got an insane return for a player that played with Kulusevski, Son, and Richarlison.
He is, yes. And I'm surprised Spurs fans have been having a go at him for not performing well enough when we know sometimes when people move to a new club, it takes them time to adjust. And that's what I think has been happening with Brennan Johnson.
It's just total entitlement, Russ. They feel like they should be something that they really are not. They're in a progressive state. They're doing very well. They've got players that are playing very well, and they should accept the fact that certain games players are going to have certain performances that are not up to the level that they required them to be at. Now, that doesn't make them a bad player, that makes them human.
Yes, absolutely, Luke. Now, moving on to our next game then, which was on Monday evening. Liverpool 4, Newcastle 2. Some controversial moments in this one. We'll just quickly run through this game. Luke, if I can ask you to just wrap this game up in 30 seconds or less with your points in the moment after I've just gone through. This is a fantastic game, which I know you both did well in the night. You and Paul did well in the night, just nipped in 12 power when Paul had the technical difficulties towards the end as well. Well, this game was a fantastic game. An offside goal, a penalty miss for Liverpool, an offside goal for Newcastle, good goal from Salah, good goal from Isak, good goal from Jones, good goal from Gakpo, good goal from Botman, and a penalty well taken by Mo Salah as well. What did you make to this game, Luke?
Insane game with there ain't enough time to really go through the every incident. So if you want to find my opinions, go and watch the live commentary back. But I think the main talking points are Jota's dive for the penalty. I'll tell it how it is. And the class act from Mohamed Salah after his missed penalty. Absolutely brilliant. Newcastle just look all over the place. They need to get some kind of perspective on things. They seem to have lost all sense of game plan after the Champions League defeat to AC Milan. But I think under the circumstances, Liverpool can be very happy with their win since they were winning before Jota's incident. If it was a 3-2 win, I'd be very dubious of whether they should be happy. But Gakpo luckily put them ahead before Jota put them further ahead through that dive penalty that Salah converted.
Yes, absolutely. I do agree. It was a dive by Diego Jota. Went down like he'd been shot by a member of the crowd, in my opinion.
Totally.
Moving on to the final game of this match, game week 20, which was on Tuesday evening. West Ham United 0, Brighton 0. Both teams puffed in the game. Really lack quality in the final third.
I'd just like to give immense credit to Alphonse Areola for making some absolutely brilliant saves and being in just the right position for the Brighton players to hit balls at.
Yes, I was surprised by how many times Brighton players hit the ball at Areola, Luke. I also remember count how many times they did it.
Well, there was Welbeck that had a looping ball towards the corner, which he saved, and Hinshelwood had his shot straight at Areola. There was Pascal Gross heading the ball straight at Areola. Pedro skill past 3 players and shoots straight at Areola. Moda has a shot over the bar late on. Lallana, edge of the box, probably the best shot of the game, which was saved down at the corner. That good
Yes,
enough?
sir. Yeah, just forgot. I'm in the world. Just before we do wrap up in a second, guys, just let you we'll tell you what the table is looking like, and a reminder of what games that we've got coming up in the FA Cup on the channel. So Liverpool remain top of the Premier League, 3 points clear of Aston Villa, and 5 clear of Manchester City and Arsenal, and City above Arsenal on goal difference. Tottenham in 5th, West Ham in 6th, Brighton in 7th. West Ham just 5 points above Brighton now. Brighton 3 points above. No, West Ham 3 points above Brighton now, who will level on points with Manchester United and above them on goals scored. West Ham 5 points behind the top 5 in Spurs. Down the bottom, Sheffield United remain in 20th, Burnley in 19th, Luton in 18th. Everton, with their 10-point deduction, remains just outside the bottom 3. Could drop into the bottom 3 next time out if Luton win and they pick up another defeat on the road. Before we do wrap up, let me just remind you again of what action we've got coming up in the FA Cup third round. Crystal Palace against Everton, Tottenham against Burnley, Sunderland against Newcastle, Arsenal against Liverpool, and potentially Wigan against Manchester United is your live offerings in the FA Cup this weekend. Make sure you tune in to us to hear all the action from some of the best games in the FA Cup with some of the best commentators up and coming in the world of media. Thank you very much to Luke Turton for joining us as my co-host this evening. We hopefully enjoyed our two-way chats on those matches. So I didn't go into too much detail on the Liverpool versus Newcastle game. Like Luke says, go and listen to the commentary from Monday evening on the channel to hear what Luke thinks to that. But for myself, Luke, and the rest of the team here on the commentary hub, thank you very much for listening. Luke, just before we go, I say thank you to you for stepping in the absence of Paul this evening.
Thank you, Russ. Thank you for having me on.
No problem. And Luke will hopefully be joining us next time on the show as well. But from all of the team here, which will be in a couple of weeks, we'll be back with a preview show on the 18th of January to give you a preview of the upcoming weekend's matches of the 20th and 21st of January. And then review show around one day the following week after that. But from all the team here, and the country, a very big thank you to you all for listening. And we'll see you again soon. Well, team here, it's good night for now.